I'm Dr. Benjamin F. Chavis Jr., and this is how to get your money right. We welcome to How to Get Your Money Right, one of our nation's leading AI strategists, Dr. Denise Turley. Welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here.
In order to get in business, or if you're already in business, how to enhance your business, what is the role of AI?
Well, I think that AI is really going to help you 10x your business. It doesn't really matter what your business is. There's a role for AI in your business. And in fact, many people are also saying that AI is going to make a large number of millionaires.
People do want to improve their quality of life, and part of improving quality of life is being on a path to wealth building.
Yes.
What has been your experience as a AI strategist of helping entrepreneurs or people in business increase their profitability?
I think it's seeing and understanding what AI can do for you, right? So even imagine if you are not in business right now, but you've thought about being in business, but it always seemed a little bit overwhelming, or maybe one of the biggest things that holds people back is they don't have the funding, they don't have the money. Well, now with AI, you don't need thousands and thousands of dollars to get your business started. You can do it with just a few $100s. By getting something like ChatGPT subscription or an AI subscription. You can create your website with AI in 10 minutes just by giving it instructions. You can have a team of AI team members. So, you know, if today you used to have a virtual assistant, or maybe even an assistant, or you had an accountant, or you had a budget analyst, or maybe you had a content strategist. Well, now you can use AI to do all of those roles. So you don't need to go and hire or even pay consultants to do that. If you really start understanding AI, AI can do those things for you.
So you can go into business with less capital.
Much less capital.
Required to start a business.
Yes, yes.
And then once that business gets going, you also can use AI to expand and take your business to the next level.
Exactly. So imagine sometimes people have sales teams, right? They're making phone calls, they're doing outreach via emails, and so you hire people traditionally to do that role for you. Well, now AI can do that for you. It can do lead generation, it can schedule meetings, schedule appointments. It can do so much of that now in an automated way. It doesn't eliminate your need to still be there, but it means that instead of hiring people, you might be able to use AI at first to help you scale and make a decision then on, do you really need to hire, or is it even just a part-time resource?
So the recommendations and the reflections that you're giving come from your own lived experience.
Absolutely.
You're not just sharing something you read in a book.
Absolutely.
You're sharing something that you lived the life of.
Yes. So I have developed customized AI solutions for organizations at scale. I also develop custom solutions for individuals and entrepreneurs. I also host workshops for many different people who are trying to figure out, how can I use AI? Maybe I want to get into being a content creator. How can I create faceless YouTube videos, as an example? And how can I do that on an automated schedule? So I teach workshops, I teach people how to do that so that they can really start thinking about upskilling, and whether that's trying to get into being a brand new entrepreneur, or how can they maybe do their business that they have today, but more efficiently.
The information that you're sharing, I think, is vital to business success because you've lived it.
I've lived it. And especially now when we really are, we're always in business worried about the bottom line, right? How do I increase my revenues, but how do I also control my expenses, the expenses that are controllable? And AI is really helping us to do that, right? You can do that with analysis so that you can see, where are you spending? It can forecast opportunities for you. It can even suggest new ways about increasing your services that you haven't thought about before.
Yes. From your perspective, what are the top 4 AI tools?
4 AI tools, ChatGPT, number 1 for me, is my Swiss Army knife, for sure. I pay for a subscription for it, but it's like $20 a month. So when you think about as a business, it's not expensive. It's a no-brainer. Something else that I also use a lot is a tool called HubSpot. So I use that. It's like for a CRM engine lead generators, automations. Imagine that you want to put a chatbot on your website so that when somebody comes and they interact, they want to know about your business. What do you do? What's the price? How do I get in contact? How do I schedule an appointment? Well, this chatbot can now interact with you, grab your information, grab your email, send you follow-up emails, and even schedule an appointment with you.
How do you spell that?
It's called HubSpot.
HubSpot.
Yep, HUBSPOT.
Okay, good. That's two.
That's two. So another one that I use a lot is called Gamma. It's GAMMMA.app. I use Gamma.
Like Gamma Ray.
Yep. I use Gamma for social media content. If you have a business, you need to advertise, right? There's no point in having a business if you can't get customers. So you need to show up. You need to show up on social media. You need to show up on your website. So I use that to create custom logos. I use it to create presentations. Often I'm having to give a presentation, whether that's internally, whether that's in my AI workshops. It can create a presentation for me with one prompt, and I get 10 pages fully formatted with images, and it's ready to go. So that would have typically taken me potentially hours. It's now 5 minutes. So the other tool that I also use a lot is Gemini. So Google's tool called Gemini, which is very much like ChatGPT, except it lives within all of Google's products. So if you're creating a Google Doc, you can use Gemini to help you with creating, maybe it's a new policy document, whatever it is that you're doing, you have AI within that doc. Also Google Slides, Google Sheets, it lives within the whole sort of Google platform. So it's, again, about $25 a month. It's money well spent.
Gemini.
Yes, Google Gemini.
All right. Yeah, again, I can keep you on the whole show. You're just giving out so much information that I think is vital for those who want to get their money right. I'm going to ask you now in terms of the financial services community. How vital would you say having financial literacy in today's economy is important from an AI perspective?
I think it's crucial, period. AI or no AI, right? Because oftentimes that's where people fail. You know, sometimes you hear about people who are really good at a specific expertise. Let's just say a dentist, right? They're great as a dentist, or even lawyers oftentimes. And so they go and they start a business. But then the business ends up not being successful because they don't understand business and they haven't figured out the finances piece. So I think understanding your budget, understanding how to do analysis, your cash flow, where it's coming from. The thing with AI is AI just helps you do that now. So instead of it feeling overwhelming, because maybe either you don't understand budgets, you just don't want to do budgets, you don't have the time to do it, you can just put all that information into AI or put it into a spreadsheet and then load that spreadsheet up into AI. And it will give you a budget and a forecast. It will tell you where you are with, where am I with actuals to budget, right? It's going to do all those things for you. Where am I spending the most of my money? Where am I expenses increasing? What are the top 5 areas that I need to focus on reducing expenses? That's where AI is going to help you in your financial literacy journey.
Paying attention to the business side.
Yes.
You know, some people fear AI because they don't understand it. Talk to us about how people should grasp AI rather than to fear it.
I think fear for some people is normal, and so I just want to acknowledge that, right? That it's okay. But I think that the way, for me at least, to think about getting around fear, how do you navigate fear, is to educate yourself about what that thing is. And so I think with AI, and really more specifically generative AI, it's about learning what it is, what it's capable of, what it isn't, and how you can maybe use that yourself to improve your livelihood.
How would you define generative artificial intelligence?
So generative AI is what's been around now. It started off with ChatGPT about 3 years ago, next month, I think. And so generative AI can create new content. So that's the generative. It generates things like pictures and videos and written content. So that's generative AI.
All of this is happening in just 3 years. It looks like, because everybody talks about AI, it's been around for decades, but that shows you how rapidly the technology is growing and expanding. What is happening with AI around the world, global innovations in AI?
I think that many countries now are trying to figure it out, right? How do we think about AI? How do we think about governance? How do we think about keeping it safe? But how do we do that in a way that we also allow innovation to happen? We know that right now we have to really think about how do we embrace AI for a number of different reasons, whether that is to increase our capabilities in healthcare, whether that's education. We certainly know that we have to be in the game, and that's not just us in the US, but that's all countries, right? Because there's this fear of being left behind that's really very real. But there's the ability to improve the livelihood of the constituents, of the citizens, if we really figure out how to use AI for good. So many countries are doing the same things that we're doing now, is that they're exploring how do we use it, what is it, what can we use it for, trying to understand it. Many people, we still don't fully understand exactly how it works, but we're figuring it out as we go.
Well, as an AI strategist, I'm sure you get called on by many different entities. In the healthcare industry, does AI serve to give people more opportunities to improve their health?
I think so, and I think it will over time. So we're seeing studies come out now to where AI is able to detect cancer earlier than what human eyes could.
Well, that's life-saving.
That it's absolutely life-saving. And so imagine that it's not only able to detect cancer, but it's also able to help us speed up medicine and speed up different ways of trying to treat cancer. Over time, we'll be able to come up with prescriptions and medicine that's just for you based on your DNA. It's not necessarily something that works for the entire population, but how can I really tweak this so that it works exactly the way your body works? And so that, I believe, is where we're heading. So there's a tremendous opportunity for AI to be used to really improve and save lives.
So in medical schools today, there's probably more not only lectures and training, but making new doctors coming into the marketplace aware of the utility of AI.
In schools and academia, we're trying to catch up a little bit as we start to think about how do we train students on AI when it still is largely research-based, right? So we are seeing some of this impact happen in research and in some companies. There are some medical companies that are all in on AI. They recognize its ability to have impact in their operations, in the way that they can detect and even prevent things like cancer. And I think with schools, we're trying to figure out how do we now build that into a curriculum in a way that makes sense for new and upcoming medical students.
It's a good segue into higher education itself. Do you see the educational marketplace, the business side of education, having much more involved with AI?
I think so. I think we have to. So I think that we have to sort of pivot at this time to figure out, one, understand what it is. How can it help us as educators be better at what we do? From a business perspective, there's a tremendous amount of opportunity to improve operations. Think about things like school counselors and how, they're often overworked, they're stressed out, they have too many students to take care of. How could AI help us with that so that it can maybe alleviate that burden, but also providing quality and personal experiences to the students that we serve? So I think that there's a lot of opportunity across the whole workflow of education, whether that's in business operations, whether that's in teaching. How do we teach? How do we grade? How do we assess students differently and more effectively? And really enrich that student experience.
How early should a student start using AI?
Oh, that is such an interesting question. Because I recognize I am definitely all in on AI, I live in an AI bubble. I have already exposed my 4-year-old granddaughter to generative AI. Now, I think that when they're young, you certainly have to make sure that it is something that you've always got parental oversight, right? So that you know what they're doing. But she loves unicorns. And so we will interact with the AI in voice mode so that she can describe the picture of the unicorn that she wants to create. And we do customized bedtime stories so that she can hear a story given to her. I've also worked to create customized storybooks so that she sees herself in the book. So instead of me reading just a a generic storybook to her at night. It's now a story specifically about her and her sister and her family. And we can do that really quickly. So I've already introduced her to technology. And I think you can do that very young, as long as you're also really sensible, as staying in the loop as a parent to know what your kids are doing.
So early childhood education can be enhanced with AI to the extent to which parents stay involved.
Yeah, you must stay involved. Yes.
So if I listen to you, it seems to me that if parents would utilize AI, it could really help the vocabulary of their children.
100%. You can interact with it in a fun way, with videos, with music. That also is increasing our vocabulary and our ability to learn.
So AI is customizable.
Yes, absolutely. That's really when you get the most benefit from it, is when you understand how to customize it so that it stops sounding so mechanical and so AI, if you will, and starts sounding more like you, or producing content that you're going to really resonate with.
When the internet first was introduced to populations around the world, people saw the internet as being a leveling of the playing field. Would you also see that with the evolution now of AI, there's a possibility and potential for leveling the playing field in terms of equal opportunity?
Yes, I actually use that exact same terms. I do believe that AI has the ability to level out the playing field in a number of different areas. Education is one. When you think about, there's times when we haven't had access to certain things. Maybe that's a personalized tutor, right? Because the cost of that is something that not everyone can afford. But AI now puts that within your reach so that you can create customized study plans with something that's very personal to what your individual goals are. It's not expensive. It's on your own time. You can do it in different languages if you want. And so that really has leveled the playing field for access to information in a way that we've never actually seen before. That's so incredibly customizable.
If somebody who is a novice and wants to learn first stage of acquiring abilities in AI, what do you recommend?
I recommend that you choose just one tool. It can be quite overwhelming when you look at so many people talking about so many things when it has to do with AI, and people start to feel a little bit intimidated by it. And I understand that. So I would say choose any one tool that's available to you. That can be ChatGPT, it can be Meta's tool on WhatsApp, it can be Gemini on Google, but just choose one tool and experiment with it for about a week. Give it 1 week. You can do things at home, like give you suggestions on what to cook for dinner tonight. If I have chicken and broccoli and, I don't know, tell it the ingredients that you have that's in your pantry and ask it to give you 5 suggestions of recipes that you can cook tonight, and then walk you through how to prepare that meal. So you can do it in ways that aren't really
And
technical.
you've done that?
Yes, yes.
And how does the meal turn out?
Well, it's based on the cook, but it does turn out pretty good. And sometimes I don't even think about, here's something that I can create. I sometimes open up my pantry and I think, oh, I don't actually have anything. There's nothing in there that I can come up with because I'm not super creative. But then I use ChatGPT as my creative assistant to let me see that I really can create something that looks awesome with just a few ingredients, right? So it's really useful. Personal travel. Whenever I'm traveling somewhere, I want suggestions on things to do. I recently took vacation with my family. We've got grown adult boys and grandchildren, so we need activity that's going to appeal to all of us. And I ask it for suggestions on things to do. Where can we go? And it also gives us that.
So there are a variety of options
Yes.
of using AI. You talked about how AI also can be used as research.
Yes.
You know, asking the right question gives you the right answer. But a lot of times people don't know what question to ask.
That's right.
Talk about the relationship of data science and AI.
Yeah, well, listen, AI doesn't work without data, right? So the reason that generative AI and artificial intelligence is so good is because it is trained on massive, massive amounts of data. Otherwise, it wouldn't do anything, right? So that relationship, it's like any good marriage, right? You have to have both for it to work and for it to be successful. So data science is also critical. It's important. We need that. That's another area where we will continue to need employees and jobs is being data scientists and AI engineers and people who understand how to get that data AI ready, right? Because a lot of organizations, they have a ton of data. Their data maybe isn't in good enough shape yet for the AI to make sense of it and give you quality output. So you may have heard that a few years ago when generative AI first came out, it wasn't that good. And it had a high error rate, and it would just flat out make things up and lie. But we've gotten much, much better now. And the more that you prepped your data, the more that you have quality data, the better the outcome is on the AI.
Given your own career evolution, what kind of educational background would lend more success to become an AI strategist?
I think what's made me be successful in my role and in my many roles, it really is having this grounding and this core understanding of business, right? So I come from a business background. And so because I understand business and business operations.
So you have a degree in business?
I have a degree, I have an MBA. I'm one of these overachievers, right? So I have a degree in accounting, I have a master's in accounting, I have an MBA, I have a degree in e-commerce. I have too many, right? But the foundational understanding business operations, and you don't necessarily need a formal degree to know that. You get that in your work experience, right? If you're paying attention, if you're learning, if you're reading, there's many ways to learn. But when I then understand how business works and what many core gaps are, when the technology comes along, it becomes that much easier for me to then think about how can I use technology as an enabler? How can I use technology to solve some of these pain points that are in the business? So I think if somebody's thinking about being an AI strategist or an AI advisor, definitely understand how AI works and what AI is, but you have to understand the business too to know if it's the right mix. Is it the right tool to solve this particular business problem? And I think that's where the secret sauce is.
People approach me all the time about AI, and I'm going to start saying, well, you know what? I know an AI strategist.
That's right.
I know an AI advisor. But there need to be many more. There are millions of people who are impacted by AI. And again, for the lack of knowledge, for the lack of understanding, they may not be able to comprehend how useful it could be.
Yeah. It's I'm struggling at this point to find an area where it doesn't have use. I start my day with AI. I ask AI what's on my calendar, what's on my schedule, what are my priorities for today. I ask AI, I need to be more impactful. I need to be more productive this weekend. What are some of the things that I can actually stop doing because they're not a good use of my time? But I use AI all the time. It's become something that's like, it's my assistant, right? I have a board of directors of AI that advise me, that give me insights and opinions on things. So for me, I've really infused it into my everyday life. And my hope is that others will start doing, maybe not as much as that, but at least they'll start the learning.
From an organized labor perspective, labor unions, they have questions about technology supplanting the workforce. And then, on the other hand, there are business leaders who spend a fair good amount of time on future work, the future of work.
Yeah.
Where do you come in terms of seeing the value of AI in helping to construct a workforce or education for a workforce of the future?
The job that you do today and the way that you do that job today is probably not going to change in the next year or 18 months. It does not mean that your job necessarily is going away, but the way you do your job will change. That really gives us the freedom now to think about, well, what is the work that I want to do now that I'm freed from some of these more mundane tasks? And that really is coming back to our critical thinking, communication, relationships. Those things are going to be premium. They're still important. That's still how a lot of business gets done, and AI can't do that for us, right? So it is incredibly disruptive. It is changing jobs, but it's also creating jobs. There are jobs that are coming out that we didn't have before. So as a lot of organizations right now are thinking about how can I really use AI? How can I use AI to make my business more profitable, more efficient, better servicing my customers? They need a team of people to do that. And we've got a massive shortage, right? So it's going to create jobs in places that they didn't exist just 2 years ago.
And as I listen to you, it seems to me that people should understand it. You can retool.
Yes.
You can, if you have one job, you can leverage that
Yes.
not only to another job, but a better job.
Yes.
A job the way you make more.
Yes.
Because to me, technology should enhance not only your productivity, but it should enhance your well-being.
I think that's right. So imagine that sometimes I was doing a workshop a few weeks ago, and somebody was mentioning that there was so much ability now and potential for this person to stop working so many hours of overtime every day. So that, to me, speaks to wellness and quality of life and balance. How can you get back some of your hours in your day? Well, if AI can come in and help you by doing some of that work, that is a positive, and it's a positive that should really hit people first, right? It's going to hit organizations, and it should, but how does AI really help you in your life?
Dr. Denise Turley, thank you for joining How to Get Your Money Right.
You're very welcome. Thank you.